I just can't shake the assassination of Charlie Kirk, what it means for his family, what it means for our country. But why might surprise you. You see, whether you agree with him politically or not, Charlie Kirk was clearly the most dynamic college campus speaker in America, maybe beyond. Thousands of people would come out to hear him speak and debate and discuss. Now, if you go back 30, 40 years, anybody 50 or older will tell you that that guy a few decades ago was actually my father. Now, my dad didn't do politics. He was evangelism, and he did apologetics. One of the reasons I'm doing this video is, yes, Charlie Kirk was into politics, but he had an evangelistic heart, and he would do apologetics at times. My dad spoke at over 1,200 university campuses. And I'm aware of at least 2 times where his life was specifically put in danger because people tried to kill him in light of what he was doing. Won't mention the campuses where, but pretty dramatic. Now, if that had happened, I might not have been born, or if I was younger, I might have grown up without a father. So when I see somebody who's just dynamic and making a difference and engaging on the college campus like my own father did in the 70s and into the 80s, it hits home. But I think it hits home for a lot of different reasons for all of us. The second reason it hit home for me is because my son's a student at Biola. He's 21 years old. And like many in his generation, I don't know if most, but certainly many, really viewed Kirk as a role model and as a hero. He loomed large in their minds. I mean, my son was devastated by this. Now, by the way, one of the first things he said to me when he contacted me is he goes, Dad, this is just devastating. He goes, you know what? If this was somebody on the other aisle politically, like Gavin Newsom, I would be just as devastated that we would think it's okay to take an innocent life and just because you disagree with somebody to kill them. One way to think about the significance is all of us, depending on what generation we're part of, there's certain events that happen and we remember where we were, when it was, and how it affected us. So my mom is a boomer, so she clearly remembers what happened when JFK was shot. She can tell me about it. The shooting of Martin Luther King Jr., landing on the moon. I'm an Xer, so I remember the Challenger explosion when it happened in school watching it. I remember when Magic Johnson got HIV. And of course, the coming down of the Berlin Wall. Millennials might talk about the crash of 2007 or 2008. Of course, 9/11. With Gen Z, the significant events they will remember, of course, COVID, and that entails Floyd and Trump, that kind of whole era. I'd say the death of Kobe, and of course, the death now of Charlie Kirk. I think his life and his death meant that much to many in Gen Z. If you're a Gen Zer and you're watching this, tell me what you think. Do you agree with that? Is it that significant to you? If you're not a Gen Zer, talk to a Gen Zer and ask them how they're processing this. I first heard about this. My plane was taking off and my son sent me a text as I was about to lose signal. And the text said, Dad, Charlie Kirk was shot. I don't think he's going to make it. And I got to tell you, maybe it was just because there's been so many tragedies, even this week with what happened in the girl from Ukraine. And there's another school shooting that was this week that nobody's talking about. It just hit me and I wept on that flight. I wept. And I thought, what's a biblical Christian response to this? And all I could do is I could think of is just to pray. Now, some people aren't Christians. If you're watching this, you think prayer doesn't do anything. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But as Christians, we believe we're really talking to God, that he would act in the world, and it's to get our hearts right. So I just sent out an X, and here's what I wrote. I'll read it to you. I just said, Dear Lord, please be with Charlie Kirk's family. Give our leaders wisdom. May the shooter be brought to justice. And may you bring some good from this heartbreaking tragedy. May we trust God through this because of all that's at stake. Specifically, one of my prayers is from Genesis 50:20. This is the story, of course, Joseph, who was sold into slavery by his brothers, and they think he's gone. He's the second most powerful now in Egypt. And they realize, in fact, that he saved them, and now he has all the power and could get vengeance on them. Genesis 50:20 says this, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today." This act was clearly an act of evil, as is the taking of any innocent life. My prayer and hope it's yours that God would use this for good in our country, use this for good in his family, use this for good in the church in ways only God knows. Two other thoughts about this. It's been interesting to see how many people have been called out for celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, it's hard to know because of AI, honestly, if some of these are fabricated and targets of other people, but there's so many in so different ways that honestly, I think this is more widespread than we would realize. Here's the challenge. I think we should publicly hold people accountable for their actions, and you say something despicable like celebrating somebody's death, even if you differ with them politically, there should be accountability and a cost for that. But cancel culture goes so far where now you just simply search somebody's name and they're forever tagged with this, and they're literally canceled. What cancel culture lacks is forgiveness. So as Christians, we got to find a way to hold people accountable, call out evil as we see it, and yet when there is somebody who's genuinely repentant and made a mistake, may that not define them forever. I do wonder how many people thought that in their heart and mind had a little bit of celebration at his death. The police chief in Utah came on immediately after this happened. And he said, if you celebrated even a little bit, may you reach deeper in and find your better angels. That's a nice way of framing it. I would say if you celebrated even a littlest bit, repent. Repent. Even if you didn't post something online. You see, this is in part what Jesus said. If you have a lustful thought, you're guilty of adultery. If you have anger in the wrong way, you're guilty of murder. If in your heart you celebrated this at all, or any death of an innocent person, there's something in your heart that needs to be made right. And I think there will only be healing in our country if a lot more of us, myself and you watching that, look within and repent of the things that are not right. Last thing, it seems like there's a lot of fear around this right now. There's some people afraid for their lives who are public figures. There's fear for what this will mean for our country. One of the things the Bible has to say over and over and over again is do not be afraid. I have been studying the Gospel of Luke, reading chapters 1 through 10 every single day. And it's amazing how much it has stuck out to me, how much the phrase do not be afraid comes out. So in chapter 1, the angel says to Zechariah at the announcement of the birth of John the Baptist, don't be afraid. The angel says to Mary, Angel Gabriel, at the announcement that she's going to give birth to the Messiah, don't be afraid. The angels say to the shepherds, the angels say, in fact, to Peter, Jesus says to him when he realizes he's a sinful man and fills the boat with fish, he says, do not be afraid. In this cultural moment, it's tempting for a lot of us to be afraid, but I refuse to live in fear. I refuse. 1 John 4:18 says, perfect love casts out fear. We cannot change the past, but the question I hope every Christian is asking is, what does it mean to love God and love others in this moment in light of this tragedy? I'm not going to answer that for you. We could discuss it, we could debate it, but that's the question. The greatest commandment is love God and love others. In this cultural moment, in light of this tragedy, what does it mean to love God and love others now? That's the question. Thanks for listening.